From soldier to board gamer to YouTuber, welcome back. This is Board Game Officer. Today we are doing an Obtain or Abstain for Forges of Ravenshire. Let's go ahead and jump into what the game is about real quick. Just a really light overview, and then we'll jump into pros and cons, and then my overall opinion on Obtain or Abstain. So in this game, you are going to be placing your dice on certain areas to gain their rewards. Then you are going to take a die from and obtain the reward according to the number on the dice. You're going to come here on the left side of your board. You're going to place it on one of the guilds. Here, when you place it on that guild, you get to have or obtain anything in any of these fields of that color. And you will take turns going back and forth, doing that 3 times throughout for the round. Then at the end of the round, you will take the dice that you have here, so you'll end up having 3 dice here, like that. Then at the end of the round, you're going to take all your dice from the left to the right side of your board. Here is all of your resources, and you can forge to get more resources, turning wood into charcoal. You could turn ore and charcoal into steel, or you have some hides or leather, and that is pretty much the round. You have these cards here that are gonna give you the goals that you're going for. These are your contracts. So like this one is the heater shield here, and you need 2 steel, 4 wood, 2 leather, and you'll gain an action token and 5 gold when you complete that contract. So you will each have one of these on your board that you're trying to collect and trying to forge, hence the name Forge of Ravenshire. I think it said Ravenshire. Ravenshire. It's Ravenshire. I don't remember which one I said at first. Ravenshire. Forges of Ravenshire. You are forging all of these contracts. However, you also have some objectives here on the side or titles, and it depends on how many contracts you have or you complete. So at the end of the round, if you've gotten 5 weapon contracts, you get the weaponsmith title. Basically gives you more points. And then at the end of the game, whoever's got the most points is the winner. It also has this track here as well that you'll go up to gain more points and everything. This here is the solo mode Automa, and you've got the action deck here that you will flip over and basically just grab the dice, place the dice however the card is. It makes for a quick solo play. Now I know that was quick, down and dirty, but what we're really here for is the review, right? So let's go ahead and go into my pros. My number 1 pro is going to be this dice mechanic. I really like this dice placement mechanic where you take a die, you place it on the board, you get the results. You take a die, you get the results, you place it on the board, you get the results, right? There's a lot of results that you're doing with taking and placing dice. And on the board here, it all pertains to numbers. When you bring it onto your board here, it all pertains to colors. When you bring it over here to the right side of the board, it again goes back to the numbers if you do the top, or just at the bottom, it doesn't matter. So I really like that difference of like, well, do I want the color? Am I focusing on the colors out here? Am I focusing on the numbers out here? Right, I really like that aspect and the decisions that it gives you. Which takes me into the next one, is the decisions. There's a lot of ways to do the same thing in this game, which I really like. Each person is going to have their own contract that they're trying to fulfill, which gives you a goal. We have the objectives over here that everyone has that gives you an idea of what you would like to get for the contracts over here. And those are the decisions that are fun to make there. The next one is actually something I haven't talked about yet, because this is an optional type of play. It actually suggests you not to play this way the first couple times just to get the hang of it, but basically you can get classes. So like this one, you could be the the Guild Advisor, the Raven, the Royal Patreon, the Metallurgist. I don't know, different roles here. And basically, what this does is gives you an extra ability that no one else has. And I really like that ability or that aspect because then it kind of gives it a little bit more of an asymmetricness to this game. Where without them, they're just pretty basic. Everyone's going after the same thing. Just the dices might be a little different what's out on the board for the decision making. So I really like the classes. I don't remember if they actually call them classes, but basically the asymmetricness part of that. The last thing here is the dual layer boards. These dual layer boards here fit really nicely. So the dice fit, I think, and that's just comes with the base game. That's not like a extra thing that you have to buy. I very much appreciate that, which goes into this, right? So we are tracking all of these by counters, which is so much nicer than having like a million different tokens being placed around. And so I really like having that dual layer board. I feel like that really ups the tactileness and the just an, I don't want to say enjoyment because it doesn't increase the enjoyment, but it does just make it a little bit nicer to play. Now for my cons, the first one is going to be the replayability is questionable, which is why I really like these class abilities because it's going to give you a little different strategy to go by. Outside of that, you're playing the same game each time. I mean, obviously your contracts are going to be different. Your guild things that I didn't really go over too much. Options are going to be different. Your objectives are going to be different. But overall, the gameplay is going to be pretty much the same. So I'm afraid of the replayability up to like 10, 15 times of how much it's going to be different there. Bringing in these is definitely going to help that. These as the classes, I think is definitely going to help that. But that's one thing I do worry about. Also, especially towards the end game when you need 12 still, 8 things, and 2 mithrils, which is just another resource here. It gets really hard to track because if you can see the still, you need charcoal and ore. But for charcoal, you need wood. And so you really have to like, well, I need 12 still, but that I only have 6 charcoal, but I only have 4 ore, but I only have 1 wood, so I actually need to start getting wood first so I can turn wood into coal or charcoal, and then, right? So there's a lot of back math on this rather than just like, oh, I need 12 still. Okay, I'm going to go in and get some still, which you can, but it's a lot harder to get still. It's much easier to get all these resources. So it can just get a lot of mentally loaded there. Was it too much? No, I don't think it was too much, but I feel like that's something that, right? If this is a new person into these games, that could be a little overwhelming. And the last part are these guild things that I didn't really talk about too much. I just feel like they're a little underwhelming. This is the engine building part of the game here, where you can place these tokens in the corresponding things. So when you place the dice here, you get to do everything on here. So the more you put your stuff up, the more you do. But I feel like sometimes that's just underwhelming because there's not a whole lot going on. The dice, if you're picking towards the color versus the number, I don't know. It's not a bad part. It was just underwhelming for me a little bit of what was going on. They actually come locked. So that one's locked and that one's locked. So at first you can only put one in each slot until you unlock it so you could place more in there. So there's just a little bit of underwhelming there, at least on my part. Another thing that I forgot to say as a pro is the cuteness. Like these little animals and everything. I really enjoy the art. I think it's a lot of fun. Anyways, on to Obtain or Abstain. I think this game is going to be an overall Obtain for me. I will say it's more on that borderline of Obtain versus Abstain, but I do think it's definitely an Obtain because of the decision making. I think the decision making and the dice placement I think really work really well here. Really makes you have to decide on what you're doing and how you're going to do it, because there are multiple ways to do it. So even though everyone has kind of going after the same general thing, there's multiple ways to do it, and each person can be different, which I do enjoy that aspect. I think the automa was actually not too bad. It was really nice and very streamlined. I did think like that. So if you're a solo player, I do think the automa is a well oiled machine, as to say in the forges well. But no, I think the automa of the solo is pretty good as well. So that is why it's an overall obtain for me. Other than that, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you later.